So yesterday we looked at how you find the vertex of a quadratic, and so let's review that. To find the vertex, the first part is to find A, B, and C. So here A would be -1, B would be 4, and C would be 5. And we can find the x value of the vertex by doing opposite B over 2A. So the opposite of 4 is -4 over 2 times -1. We get -4 over -2, which is 2. All right, so to find the y value, because we need the coordinate here, we're going to plug into the original function. F of 2 means plug in a 2 equals -2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 5. So if we type that in our calculator, -2 squared plus 4 times 2 plus 5. So here's the y value, 9. So if we were to graph this at 2, 9, this graph would change direction. And so let's pull up Desmos and graph this so you can see what it would look like. I'm going to zoom in here. I'm zooming out. Okay, so this is our old one. Okay, so it was -x squared plus 4x plus 5. Oops. Okay, so let's take a look at that vertex. This is where it changes direction at 2, 9. So today our goal is, can you change from standard form to factored form? So if I give you an equation, can you factor it? So this is actually a review. We've done this before. When you do get a quadratic in standard form means there's no parentheses. So if you take a look at this, there's no parentheses here. What information can you get from it and how? Well, one of them is the shape of the graph. If you look at the A value, if it's -A, it's going to be upside down. If it's positive A, it's going to be right side up. So you can tell the shape of the graph. And that it's a quadratic because x squared is the highest power. So this means U-shaped graph. You should also be able to find the vertex. The x value is opposite B over 2A. And then y you're going to plug in and solve. You should be able to tell the number of zeros by looking at the discriminant. The discriminant is that b squared minus 4ac. That'll tell us how many zeros that there are, how many x-intercepts, 0, 1, or 2, by looking at if it's positive, negative, or 0. And you can actually find the zeros by doing quadratic formula, or you could graph it. So standard form tells you a lot about the equation. Factored form also tells you information about the quadratic. So here's factored form when you have the numbers that multiply to the quadratic. What information can you get from it and how you can tell how many answers are there, so number of solutions. There's going to be 2 of them because there's 2 factors. And you can find the actual solutions, the zeros, by looking at what makes them 0. What makes x minus 6 equals 0? That's 6. What makes x plus 3 equals 0? That would be -3. So you can find the zeros with factored form. So our goal today, can you change from standard form to factored form? How do you do it? Difference of squares, greatest common factor, or box and circle. So we're going to review all those 3 methods. The first is difference of squares. If they're both square numbers being subtracted, you can take the square root of each one. The square root of x is x. The square root of x squared is x plus and x minus. The square root of 16 is 4. -4. So we have this right here. And then we can find the zeros. This would cross the x-axis at -4 and 4. So these are the zeros. And then this other part here, these are called the factors. So this is factored form. Let's do another one. Factor the quadratic and find the zeros by greatest common factor. This is where what's the biggest number you can pull out of each one. And here, they both have a 5 and an x that we could pull out. So if we do that, pull out the 5x. We'll divide each by 5x. and write what's left. So 5x squared divided by 5x, there's an x left. 15x divided by 5x, there's a 3. So this is called factored form. If you wanted the zeros, what would make 5x equal 0? So if you don't know, you can make an equation. So here x equals 0. 5 times 0 is 0. What makes x minus 3 equal 0? That would be 3. So here are the zeros of the graph. That means your graph would cross at these 2 points. If you want to see what that would look like, you could type it in your calculator. So it was 5x squared minus 15x. And you could see at 0 and at 3, those are where they cross. And the last method, box and circle. So we'll do 2 of those. Find the zeros by factoring. So if you remember box and circle, make our box with our circle inside. We'll start with our x squared. We have an x and a negative 56. We want to know what multiplies to the first and the last box. So negative 56x squared. That adds to the middle of the box, 1x. So 2 numbers that multiply to negative 56 are 8 and 7. So I'll put 8x and 7x. But if you want a positive x, 7 has to be negative. Now it works for both. So let's get the outside of the box. We'll get x and x plus 8, x minus 7. So this is the factored form. X plus 8, x minus 7. We want to know when that equals 0. And so the zeros are x equals negative 8 and x equals 7. And the last one, again, a box and circle. Let's get myself more room here. Okay, so again, we'll do a box and circle. We have 2x squared. We have our negative 5x, our negative 12. Okay, so we want to know what multiplies to negative 24x squared. That adds to the middle circle, negative 5x. So 2 numbers that multiply to negative 24 that add to negative 5 would be 8 and 3. In order for it to add to negative 5, this 8 would be negative. All right, to get the outside, we know the outside there needs to be an x and an x. The 2 would have to go on the side here the way I set it up, because then it's easy to get that negative 8 by multiplying by negative 4. 2 times negative 4. X times what is 3x? That would be a 3. So you have x minus 4, 2x plus 3. This is factored form. To find the zeros, we want to know what makes this equal 0. So one answer would be 4. And the other one I can't tell right offhand, so I'm just going to make an equation. 2x plus 3 equals 0. Let's solve this. We'll subtract 3 from each side. We get 2x equals negative 3. Divide by 2. So here x equals negative 3 halves. It's the same as negative 1.5. So here are the 2 zeros of this graph. So we're going to find the zeros where they cross the x-axis right here. So here's the 4, here's the negative 1.5. You can factor it, and the factors are either the opposite of the zeros or what makes them equal 0.